friends. I'm so excited to be here with you today. My name is Jewel Georgieff, and I'm a wedding event designer. I produce events all over the US and globally, and it is just my pleasure to be here and play with all these beautiful peonies that you have received and show you a little bit about how to make this. So I started backwards. So I did it already, and then I'm going to deconstruct it because that's actually one of the best ways that I learn things. So I figured let's try that, okay? So this arrangement actually, let me see if I could tilt it a little bit for you to see. Okay, it is a teapot. This is a teapot planter. It was from like a Mother's Day promotions. So I decided let's use this and just learn how to make something that just really spills, that you can use as a centerpiece, pretty much with any vessel. It doesn't have to be a teapot, but I love this teapot, so I just wanted to use this so badly. And I love the way the blue contrasts with the burgundies and the pinks and the creams. So let's go ahead and deconstruct this bad boy. So first of all, like I said, it's a teapot planter. I'm gonna first take this out and show you. So I have this little topper that came with the planter. It actually has its own dowel or spoke for it, but it was not long enough for my arrangement. So very simply, I'm trying to do an arrangement with everything that you have in the box except the vessel, of course. So I just took a stem that I had clipped, I cut it, and I attached it to the dowel for the teapot cover and just placed it, visually where I thought it would look best, which for me was just about, let's get it in there. You'll see how this is constructed as I pull it apart, right in there. So I like it there, so that's where I put it. But you can put any kind of accent to your floral arrangement anywhere you like. All right, so taking that out first, now I'm gonna remove my flowers to unveil how we set this up. So very simply, you can see how I cut the stems. Always cut on an angle. Let them drink while they're in their arrangement. Some of you I know viewing this are experienced florists and designers. Some of you may be new and starting out and playing with flowers. So some of the terms and the things I'm gonna say, I'm gonna pretty much say it very layman-like and very simple, but that's for those of you who are newer to flowers. Because when I started out, the simplest things, the things that I think now like, oh, did you not know that? I messed up on a lot, like very funny stories. I have funny stories about hydrangeas, let me tell you, but we're on peonies today. So we're gonna remove this and you're gonna start to see how I got these in here. So as it's being unveiled, you're gonna see here that, pull this out gently without breaking the foam. Let's try to speed this up for the camera. Now another thing I'm going to show you as I'm pulling this apart, again, I used just what was in the box apart from my supplies, my hard goods as they're called. So when I clipped the peonies, the stems are pretty long. I'm going to show you one that's open from my bucket. They come in your box, and because you have the box, come like this. When I clipped them to the length that I needed, I made sure I clipped it where I had some greenery left on the stem, so I can use this as my greenery filler. Now, as you see, I'm pulling out. I also have some that are pretty much closed. I love using these in an arrangement for texture. I feel like they add interest. They're not blown open, and you really get to have like all these little variations. And as time goes on, now for a wedding, it's mainly for texture, right? Because it's just that day. But if you're doing this as a Mother's Day arrangement or any kind of birthday, whatever, tea party arrangement that you're sending to the home, this will eventually start to open and give even more texture to the arrangement, more of a beautiful look, because you'll have some at different stages. So again, same thing. I have this one, different stages. Love the way the texture looks when you do that. All right. So as you can see, pulling these all out, same thing. See, this one is almost fully blown up. And I just want to show you the difference as we're doing this. Look at that. I mean, are these not beautiful? This is as big as my head. All right, guys. See, another greenery. Just the stems from the peonies. I did not add any other flowers to my peony box that we received. More texture. This one I left a few more leaves on there. Very tight ball. Love the way it looks against the open ones and semi-open ones. Oh God. And let me tell you, they smell amazing, but you know because you're working with them, right? All right, let's see how far I can get this all. I'm gonna push this closer to the camera. I love doing it this way because then it's like, oh, that's how you did it. At least for me. While I'm doing this, I'm going to tell you. There we go. This is my last guy. I'm making like a mountain of peonies here. Okay. So, this is my structure. Not very pretty, right? It was pretty a few minutes ago, but right now, it's pretty like me. So let's take a look at what's happened here. This, I'm going to tell you a little bit about this. This is how I make my cages, sausages, whatever you want to call them, for a garland, table garland. Anything that I want to run, I make these. I used to buy the Oasis pre-made sausages, as they call them. They're in links, covered in like a netting, and they were very easy to use, I have to say. But the links are a little bit narrower. You can get a bit of fullness, but it's still kind of like, you know, it doesn't do what I want it to do. Then, and not only that, it is costly to add to your design, whether you're designing at home for yourself, for a loved one, or if you're designing for your business. The more of these garlands that you do, they get expensive. You can't reuse them. They're not like raquettes where you constantly just put new Oasis. You need them to drape. So I feel like for me, this has been the easiest thing. I pretty much, you learn to use this because you can get poked and scratched and things like that. So I have learned how to use the chicken wire. It is plain chicken wire that you get at your local hardware store or your big Home Depot, Lowe's, whatever store that you have in your area or in your country. But this is just plain chicken wire. It's not treated with anything. It's not covered in any green plastic coating or paint, plain old wire. I use this and I wrap, now this is a wet Oasis at this point. I just wrap my Oasis in it. This is a 2/3 of a block. I think I have a piece, I didn't need that much for this. But when I do a table runner, especially if I want it to spill off of like an 8-foot table, I use raquettes down the center because I don't want this rubbing against the tablecloth. But at the ends, I tuck right here at the end of my, just give me a little extra, tuck right here at the end. And then I would use a zip tie, because you know at the end of the raquettes, and if you're not sure what a raquette is, you can Google it. It is a plastic form that is usually used for retail arrangements, many times for homegoing or funerals, but it works really well for table arrangements for me. There's a little hook at the end of a raquette. So I just take a zip tie and I zip tie my sausage. And sometimes, let me tell you, I can just use 3 full blocks, a little bit of chicken wire, and I will get a huge spill off the side of the table of flowers. So anyway, I just wanted to give you a little side note on that. Very simple chicken wire. You'll learn to use it. Just be careful with your hands. Form it around. If you're not comfortable with this, you can buy Oasis sausage to use, or you can buy garden center type chicken wire or floral chicken wire, which is much more gentle on your hands, not as thick, because you do have to cut this with wire cutters. Alrighty, that was a mouthful. So my little sausage to make my garland. I couldn't decide at the time that I wanted to be attached to the handle because I liked the way the spout looked. But then I figured, it makes more sense to attach it to the spout. So very simple, because this is going to sit on a table instead of spilling off the table. And you could do both. I would just make sure that this is weighted properly. I just rest it here. If you are going to be delivering something like this or presenting it or just doing you can, again, I love zip ties. You can use a zip tie and just come through. Just to make it a little more sturdy. And just pull through the zip tie, and you're good to go, all right? But for me, I'm not gonna do that because I wanna play with it. So, foam here, as you see, I used Oasis here. Here, I did non-foam. There's no foam inside of this. It is, again, I love chicken wire. A simple chicken wire form that I made. See? Just a piece of chicken wire that was cut from a roll. I tucked it. And I do this a lot. Like, you could use floral tape and make a grid. That's fine too. Don't ask me why. Maybe because I'm from the Caribbean originally. I love chicken wire. I don't know. But I use the chicken wire form. I make a little bit of a sphere or a ball, however you want to say it. And I have it here. And then, of course, in here, we just have, I know this, just regular tap water is in here. For a wedding, that's fine. If you are designing for delivery and to keep in your home for any period of time or a client's home, then of course you're going to tighten this up pretty nice and neat. I would suggest if it's being delivered to a client, I would do the floral chicken wire or the sausage, which is much safer, nothing metal to poke anyone. But for me, this is fine. And for this tutorial, I think for you to use on your tables or even at a wedding, because no one really is messing with the arrangements, you can do the chicken wire. And you can make it as long as you like, trail as long as you like. So there's water in here, chicken wire form, that's how I make my sausage. Again, if you want it to be not with the metal, you want to be safer, it's going to be a little more costly, but you can get Oasis sausage. They come in links. Super easy, attach it the same way. So now, the fun part. So I just get in there and I usually keep a knife, sometimes a utility knife. I have sometimes my florist knife, my clippers, scissors. You don't always have all your supplies around you. I have my water. I have already, because we deconstructed it, it's already cut. But I just want to show you when you're going to pull your peonies out. This one is like really nicely blown out, and it doesn't have any, nothing guard petals or petals that have like that brownish on it. But if there were, gently, I would just remove anything that didn't look, the way I wanted it to. Very gently, because if you pull a peony the wrong way, it'll just, I have to say these, look at this. These have been amazing. Alaska peony, I mean, I don't think I've ever had peonies this hardy, this beautiful, blow out this big, and it's just amazing. These are just amazing. So I hope you're enjoying your peony box as much as I'm enjoying mine. I feel like I'm gonna make a lot of arrangements and give to my neighbors. Now, a quick thing before we reconstruct this, how how your peonies come, as you saw in your box, they come tight like this. Okay, this was something I cut. They come tight. So very simple what I do. Again, I'm a wedding florist, so I really don't have to treat my flowers to last for days. They just need to be good for a couple of days to be amazing for the wedding day. So I come in, when I get my flowers, I do what they call processing. Again, I'm using some of these terms and explaining them just for those of you who may be very new to flowers. I know some of you are professionals, so you know what I mean. Processing is simply just getting your flowers ready. This is part of the most important part of your design. You want these flowers to open up, be amazing for you. They're this beautiful, so really it's like I can put this in, I don't know, a tube and it look amazing, like, you know, PVC pipe. So I just kind of come in, I clip on an angle, get a nice angle there. Don't clip too much. And then I have a bucket, 5-gallon bucket that I would put with regular water. And what I do for me, and everyone is different, you can purchase floral preservatives and things like that from your wholesaler or your floral shop, your supply store. What I do, 2 tablespoons of white granulated sugar in about a half full bucket, 5-gallon bucket of water, and my flowers just drink. That is so they drink. It's not necessarily a preservative. It is just, it makes them drink faster. They fill up, they fluff up, and they open up. And then if it's for a wedding, I treat them with something like a Crown and Glory or whatever is appropriate for the temperature and the type of flower that I'm using. Usually I use a lot of Crown and Glory. But there's all different brands, all different types that you can use. And some of you may have your own little secrets for keeping your flowers looking amazing for a long time. But for me, for processing, just to get them to hydrate and open up, 2 tablespoons of white granulated sugar. I put that in half a gallon bucket of water, and I let them drink. I let them drink overnight or for a day. With these, they drank and for overnight. Pretty much a full day, and they just blew open really amazing. So just wanted to show you that. And then something else that I used to be confused about when I was starting out with flowers, how many flowers can I fit in a bucket? Right? Is this so simple? But guess what? I didn't know how many flowers I can fit in a bucket, and with peonies, hydrangeas, anything that blows out really big, it creates a problem if you stuff too many in a bucket. So to be honest, anywhere from 18 to 20 blooms I can put in a bucket. When it comes to like something like a hydrangea, which is almost the same size as the peony, I can do 18 to 23 blooms, but I never try to go past like that 20 mark, because you want them to open, you don't want them to crush against each other and bruise each other, right? Because they're all friends. They're all friends in the bucket. All right, so let's get back to this. So remember, we've got our water, we have our forms all set out, and now it's the fun part. We're gonna design. I started out designing here so that I can go back and just make the shape that I want. So usually you start designing. I like to use, say like this big blown out one. I'll start here with something that's like, wow. I like to start out with my wows. And then we'll just go in and fill her up. Oh, isn't she beautiful? They're so gorgeous. Now here's where you're going to use your designer's eye and your aesthetic to get the look you want. Now, when you're designing for yourself, you're not going to be designing in front of a camera. So you're going to be going around, coming back, taking a step back. I encourage that a lot. Always want to take a step back. That's too much pink. Take a step back and look at your design. Now, I'm using a lot of the big blown out ones to get my form and my shape going. here and there I'm gonna come in and put ones that aren't so large, but have, yeah, see, like that little texture there. Got this big guy. Let's see. I'm gonna break up some of this burgundy. All right, so I see a couple that I could have possibly bruised, but see, I just remove it. I mean, I don't even have to pull the whole petal out, just tear that little part off. And make sure we get it in here. There we go. All right. Now again, it's looking kind of easy, like I'm just placing flowers, because remember we deconstructed this, so we had already had it done. Just make sure you're getting in your foam. And like I said, I didn't use a large piece of foam because I wasn't using that many flowers. Okay. Go. Yeah, I love this color. Love that it pops too. And then I want to get, so now I want to start to tie in. I think I'm going to tie in with white. And the wire, even though the foam is kind of dead center, the wire is going to help me to be able to arrange my flowers how I want them, let them sit where I want, even though they're going in the oasis. It also keeps my oasis, or my foam, from breaking apart. There you go. I'm going to fill that in too. Now, because this was deconstructed and we already had it arranged, I had them pre-cut. Also to not have you stuck on this camera, on this film that long, and get you designing. Now, always make sure that you are getting all angles. So you want to fill out this way and this way. You're going to have people sit, unless this is going on a fireplace, people are going to be sitting all different angles of this arrangement if it's in the center of a table. So make sure you are covering your mechanisms, your mechanics as they call it. And let's do that one. I love this color, oh my God. Make sure you're getting it nice and full on all angles. Pay attention to your shape. Let's see if I can. Got so much stuff right here. All right. So I know I'm using a lot of white right at the end here, but don't worry. We're going to tie that in with some pink and burgundy. Now, if you're wondering, like, well, how many is she using? I clipped about 30 for this arrangement. Go, see if I can come back a little bit so you can see. And now I'm gonna come around to the front, just so I can see. And again, if you're designing at home or in your studio, you're gonna, of course, have your table set up, your turntable and whatnot, and you'll be able to see all angles. But for filming, I'm kind of like stepping out to get, this is too long. Gentle. All right, now, let's see. It's looking good from this angle here. Now, I still have not done this part. See, you can see you're gonna go back in there. Now, remember, that's filled with water. Gonna come around and take a peek. See what you're seeing. Okay, so as I'm taking the peek, I see some holes right here, here, and here. So I'm gonna come back around. Now it is a reconstruct, so it's going to be not too much of the same color. I fill that hole there. I'm gonna come around front here and fill this hole here. A little bit of the pink. Ooh. Real life, guys. There we go. There we go, I can feel it now. There we are. And I've got a space right here. Now, I am kind of down to where I have my flowers that are set aside for here. I actually have them here in this bowl. And my texture pieces that I'm gonna add last. So let's get in here with these guys. Easy to place, just going into water through the chicken wire, which is really holding them together and making me able to design them the way I want. Let's clip this one. Okay. All right, so now I'm looking at her. Let me step back. All right, so this is where my little teapot's going. So let's get the cover back in there so we can both see where we're heading with the design. So remember, we want to maintain the shape. Get it in there. All right, this is a little too high. I'm going to clip this. Bring it down a little bit. There we go. All right, so now I'm going to come in with the greenery that I cut. Remember, I'm using just what's in the box. So this is the greenery from the peonies that when I clipped the top off, I kept the greenery. So I'm now going to put these in. Make sure you're getting them in the oasis. If they're going in the water, make sure you're getting them in the water. Because you don't want your greenery to look sad. That would not be good. Okay, let's get a little bit of front here for you guys. Hope we can see. Get this in here, like that right there. All right. Now, I do want you to still see that there's a handle here. So let's move this one a little bit. Yeah, let's move this guy, put him back here. Because you do want to see it's a teapot. Okay. Here we go. Alrighty. So now, let's see, if I clean up behind me so you can really get a look-see. Let's move this guy, move these guys. Okay. All right, so this is our arrangement. Let's see, can I pull back a little? I hope you guys will see. There we go. Now, I still have one last layer. Remember, this is everything just in the box except for the vessel and your materials for your mechanics. My last layer is adding my texture of the ones that have not yet opened. So, let's see. I like to. This is fun. Designing via video. Because I'm actually looking at the screen to see, make sure you're seeing what I see. There we go. Now there's a lot of white here, so let's break that up with a little bit of burgundy. Love this little guy, look at him. Love him. Where should I put him? How about here? Because I feel like there's a lot here. Even though it's the same color, because of the greenery and the texture of having that like almost a little bit tight ball, I feel like it'll do a little something. Again, make sure it's in the water. All right. Let's see. I feel like I can do just a little bit something right here. We might have had one there. So let me grab it. Yep, we did. It's the last man on deck here for the cuts. All right. So I'm gonna clean up a little bit so you can get a better view. And by clean up, I mean just toss it down under my works table here. And some of these so you can see. All righty. So, will you like to come over and have tea with me? I'd love to have you. Thank you for being here with me. If you have any questions, I'd love to help. You can reach out and let me know. Thank you so much. Love it and hope you enjoy. Have fun designing.